It's so good to be here with you guys today. Today's video is going to change gears a little bit and go back to getting painted papers done. I started a series called Texture Hunters several videos ago where I got several different, Dollar Tree tools to see what kind of prints I could make on paper. I made a bunch of patterns and marks and things on tissue paper that I got from Dollar Tree. They have really large packs of tissue paper that are only $1.25. So it makes a really affordable painty paper. And what I do with them is I layer them on my collage pages when I make, collage spreads or do creative memory keeping. And in those videos, I use these inexpensive paints. They're $1.25. I don't know how they compare to, other prices found at Walmart for tempera paint or Michael's or things like that. But I grabbed these because I thought they were a good deal. And these are like a children's tempera paint. And the reason I got them is, yes, they can be used. They are going to be a little translucent, but that works perfectly for tissue paper when you're wanting to get like a layered look. So you can layer different colors of tissue paper on top of each other, and you'll get these really cool, like mid-century graphic looking looks. So I'm going to just experiment today with various different inexpensive supplies. I'm going to do some paint, and I'm going to do these paint sticks that I got from Joann's. I used to get these, they were called tempera paint markers. I used to get these when the kids were really little because I thought this was a really clean way of doing art for them. And the colors are just absolutely adorable. This was about $6 for this pack of these, and they're so creamy when they come out, and they add like a messy texture, which I like that texture. I don't really like a clean look. I really like the look of like kids art and just really messy stuff. And what I was playing with these, and I discovered that while they're wet, they're water soluble. So you can add water and just like mush it around, and it looks really cool. So I'm gonna be playing with this on some paper. And I also have some Crayola Super Tips markers, and these also are water soluble while they're wet when you initially color with these. I made a whole watercolor painting with these markers. I outlined my drawing with these Crayola twistables, and then I added some marker in the inside of it and then wet it down immediately. And I used different colors, different values of like a green, so that it would like blend together and look all messy and interesting. So yeah, I got a new a new artist pencil sharpener, a Stadler, or I don't know what you call it. But yeah, I sharpened all these twistables. It was really satisfying to see them done. But they work really good. I have the Caran d'Ache Neocolor crayons, and those are really creamy, and I don't have the watercolor ones. I really want to get those. Essentially, these do the same thing. They're just not as creamy as those crayons. And these crayons probably can't go over every texture, but they did really good on top of like watercolor. You can make marks on top with these crayons, and you get a really cute, youthful, colorful, fun, messy texture. So anyway, I'm just gonna be doing some papers with inexpensive, or you wanna call it cheap, art supplies. And that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm probably gonna speed through a lot of it. A cool tip for working with these Crayola Super Tips is to swatch out your markers and try to find the ones that have the deepest pigment. And I would suggest, if you're going to do the watercolor technique, to go with those, because I'm noticing that the markers that are very light, like this one here, is not giving off enough color. And the sad thing about these marker sets is they're not named or numbered. Well, they are numbered, but it's very hard to see when you're going to grab for things. Yeah, they are numbered and lettered, but yeah, it's hard to see. So once you get your really your favorite markers, dense, you know, pigment ones, you can put a label on them. And I was thinking of getting file folder labels and coloring out a swatch and then wrapping the sticker, well, around this end, you know, and then you can easily identify the marker, because a lot of these marker tips don't match the actual color. So those are just a few downsides to that. Okay, I'm just making kind of like a ethereal kind of look here, it looks like, and I'm working on a marker paper. So this is gonna look different on like textured watercolor paper. It actually looks beautiful. But I just was curious about how these markers would work on this marker paper. Okay, so this is fabulously crinkly. I mean, I love it, it's delicious. So I'm actually not gonna add anything more to this because I do want to practice more restraint in my art, because I do a lot of more is more kind of thing. So this is a really subtle, pretty texture on its own. So I would love to see the possibility of using this as a journal page. Love this. Look at how beautiful. So I think the markers are pretty versatile. Yeah, you can make really interesting marks with them, watercolor looks with them, and you can use them for mark making. I do a scribble like in a background. When I don't have time to journal, I do something like this. I just make a background with the markers like that, scribbles. So these can be compared, I think, to midliners. Let's see, let's look at the back. This is a piece of vintage planner paper, and I don't really see any bleed through on that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking those out. Just to keep this budget friendly, I am going to do a book page, like vintage book page, because I know we all get those. I don't know if you have access to marker paper, but I'm sure if you get a very thin and like buttery soft copy paper, if you can find that kind of thing, it'll give you this crinkly sound. And I have this, my husband got me this new heat gun not too long ago. But yeah, we don't have an oven, isn't that weird? So I'm gonna look through this garden page, and I think that I wanna look for pages that have some color to it, or not color, but imagery. Okay, so this is a good solution for those vintage black and white books that we all find, but are, you know, it's not the desirable book, but it's cool because it's got a vintage typography to it, and it has vintage drawings, illustrations, even though they're in black and white. So I really am interested in using up these things and adding color to them. Okay, so we're going to test different mediums on here, but yeah, I definitely want to also try out I also want to try out getting some clear gesso so that you can add like watercolor on top of these, and it would look nice. I don't know, we'll have to see what the difference is. Okay, look at this. Wow, I'm thinking this is very meditative. Something I learned is on this one, I didn't like move the water around a lot. I just tried to have it sit in a puddle and held the, you know, heat gun for a long time and then switch and then come back, dry it again. And it looks like the watercolor dried in layers. And that's what creates these rings, which I love that look. It looks really, really cool, like marbling kind of. So you can do various different looks. This one I moved around a lot. You can still see the outlines. This one I moved around a lot. You can tell because there's lots of these little drip drops shapes, and that's from moving and pushing the watercolor around. But if you don't want to have all these droplets looks, maybe move it around less. So if you might be able to tell the difference between these two. So yeah, this was moved around less and it's just dried where it sat. And if it dripped and moved, that's okay. Just let the heat gun control everything. Yeah, I love this. So this is on the cheapest paper possible because it's a vintage book. Well, it's cheap for me because I got it at my thrift store. God, excuse my nasty nails. It's just been a mess. You guys know we've been sick and stuff, so I haven't had time to do any kind of grooming. So yeah, these are beautiful to start off with, and I was going to keep adding, but I like the subtlety of just having, you know, I need to bring more white into my work, so it needs to contrast more. So yeah, I like these, and they're all crinkly. I love it, yeah. Since I have this paper out, the next test is going to be dragging with a card. And we're gonna use these cheap tempera paints to see what we can do, okay? And I'll add some yellow and red, I guess, and some orange. And these are kind of smelly. Well, look at that. I mean, that's automatically dyeing the paper. Get the edges. I'm trying not to mix it too much because I do like this orangey pink color that's going on here. Okay, cool. just rubbing the excess off here to make some deeper color, and I'm gonna just dry it. Okay, I like this. It's tempera paint, and I like doing this on here because it adds a little bit of color, but it maintains translucency. So this is really cool. So this is with a really cheap paint, and it created a really cool colored page. So you could do a journal page out of this. See how pretty that is? And that's just with this black and white vintage paper that nobody really wants. You can cut it up into little scrap pieces. You can do journaling cards with that. So yeah, I'm gonna play around a little bit with this concept. I'm gonna keep this as is. Okay, now we are going to try out the paint markers. And I'm going to start off with like a thicker cardstock and then try out some on some notebook paper because I want you guys to see how this works with water. So let's see, my favorite pink and orange right now. Let's try that out. Okay, got our water. And I just want you to see how clean the water is from using the super tips. It's not too bad. Okay, so these stay open for a little while. So I'm not going to be too concerned with wetting them down fast. But the more wet they are, I'm sure the more that they will. See, it's just a little bit subtle here, but you can still get some color out. I like how you can see the initial impression and then you can see some subtle colors around it. I love that. Okay, now I'm going to use this lighter pink. Oh, I love that. Doesn't that look like lipstick? Look at that. So nice and juicy. I'm going to try to rub a lot. And maybe I'm going to mark on my watered down parts a little bit. Okay, let's see. Ooh, that's not really giving me anything, but I do like having it. It looks like lipstick, doesn't it? Okay, so not as drastic as the magenta color. Let's try some orange. I just used orange the other day and I really liked it. I'm gonna put it over some wet medium, or I'm gonna put it over some water. Look at me trying to sound all smart and stuff, all arty. Okay, let's try. So that'll give you some color too. But I just like how it makes like a messy look. This looks like a modern messy. So it's like a pastel watercolor surrounding the paint stick marks. And the more you wet it, I think the more you can activate it. That's an artsy word, right? Activate. So I am going to, ooh, I like how the watercolor is coming over the pink a little bit. I wonder if I do a little bit. Ooh, I like that. Some subtle orange. Okay, I'm gonna dry this. It just looks nice and soft. You can get, this looks really thick and opaque, and then, you know, you can see it blend and get soft a little bit. I like that. And then it looks like something pink, like a pink paper got wet and then it like ran like in the rain or something. It's kind of what it looks like to me. So this is very pretty. Another trick I like to get a really cool paper is using notebook paper. This has some blue ink on it. And I think you guys have probably left notebook paper out in the rain and you've seen that, you know, the ink runs a little bit. So that's really cool. I'm going to play on that idea and add some blue paint sticks. And these might give me more pigment. And I think I'm going to try to wet them as soon as I lay them down and see if that helps the color run. Yeah, there's just more pigment in this, in the blues. And I'm probably not using a big enough water brush, but let's see if I make bigger scribbles. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. It's so therapeutic too. It's so easy. And it's guilt-free because it wasn't expensive. These, I know they sell these at Walmart. I bought some from Walmart years ago. Or no, did I order them on Ammo? I might have ordered them on Ammo. But yeah, they do have them at Walmart. This one, if you don't want to risk the cash, you can definitely go to Michael's. That's where I got these, and these are pretty good. They're very pretty colors. So I think it's easier to start with a backdrop when you're creating. Like if you're creating like a collage journal card, or if you're doing like a journal spread. That's my opinion. I love patterned paper and different textures. So, oh yeah. This is gorge. It's not really giving me anything, but I'm just gonna put some over the wet and in between all the blank spaces so we can cover it. I feel very free using this. Ooh, look what it looked like when I put it on water. It kind of like spreads. Okay, so we have some subtle blue, some subtle light blue, but I did notice that it did start to water the lines, so that's really cool. That's what I wanted. You can see it's highlighted, or I don't know if that's the word, but you can it's darkened the lines. It's brought out the turquoise in the notebook paper. Yeah, so I like that. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we could add. I mean, again, I like the subtlety, but I'm just trying to get a well-rounded representation of what these can do. So let me add some of the super tips to this and see if we can get anything going. And I think the paint markers are going to resist. It looks like they might resist the watercolor from coming from the super tips. Yeah, it rubs off of the paint markers. So again, that's not really giving me much. I can drip it. So this is really cute, but it's leading me to a new idea of adding the super tips to the notebook paper, because we're having this really cool texture come out of the marker and mixing with the notebook. So let's try that out too. So with the notebook paper, you don't really have to worry as much about spreading the color around as much as worrying about adding the water, like adding a puddle over it, because then it's going to have this cool like feathered effect. So yeah, that's the difference we have. We have some of the paint sticks and some of the super tip markers on this one. And we have just super tip markers, and I love this feathering. I absolutely love this. It looks like tie-dye. So you could probably come over this again with some more marker. I would love to keep it a little subtle, but I just have such a craving to add more. This is the end of the demo section, and I'm going to keep playing with this, and I'm going to come back on and show you what I ended up with. I just wanted to pop back on and show you how the crayons work. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm going over this tempera paint with my sharpened crayons, and this is a light blue color. Just showing you that you can add even more marks. Okay, I'll switch to a darker blue. You do get a little bit of crayon crumbs. I don't know if that's what you guys call it, but I think it just leaves a really cool texture and youthful look to it. And you can go dark, you can darken it. And see how that looks going over this paint? Not too bad, in my opinion. Yeah, and the Caran d'Ache Neo Colors, the crayons, not the water-soluble ones, will act just like this, but they're going to really sit on top of what you're making, and it's going to be really opaque looking and creamy, you know? But you can get the same look, sort of the same look, by just pressing down harder and adding like a thicker layer of these twisty crayons. Yeah, so I think this will be a really cool backdrop in a journal or collage, or making some digital media. Yeah. So that's that. I definitely wanted to show you using these twistables. They're called twistables, Crayola twistables. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's a little subtle, but it's, wow, it's really working. So that's cool. Okay guys, this is with acrylic paint. So this is with a cheap paint from Dollar Tree, and it's a lot better than the tempera paint. It still gives you a see-through translucent look, but it's more of like a graphic, I think it was called like lithograph style. This one is awesome. I don't know how. I think I did one column of blue, came down, and then a column of yellow and dragged it down. And so it made it kind of flank either side. So that's awesome. Oh God, you scared me. Shit. What?
So, I've got the code cracked on how to do this.
On how to do what?
You have to put your swimsuit on, shirt you don't care about, bring the chicken into the shower.
Oh my God.
That's the only way. But you know one thing I wasn't expecting, I didn't expect while she was freaking enjoying herself to get all excited and freaking jump on my shoulder. I'm like, are you freaking serious? And then she went on my, on the back of my neck, partially, you know?
Oh my God. Did she poop?
No.
That's surprising. So now I'm going to see if I can layer the Crayola over the acrylic paint. Okay, babies, I'm back, and I have a stack of crinkly goodness. Okay, yeah. All right, so what did I do here? Yeah, this was just a scraping technique, and it's so smooth and soft. And, oh, for this one, I started using just this paint, the apple barrel paint. I wanted to see how that did. I did want to add like more marks and stuff, but I just got exhausted yesterday. So yeah, you can definitely add more You can add stamping on top of this. So that's cool. You can add more to that. And this is the one where I got into the drawing with the twistables. And oh, I didn't even get to demonstrate my markers. Yeah, let me do that real quick. I don't know, yeah, I always do the same thing. I try to come up with different marks, but I have been using some of the new marks. But yeah, I could probably even add this to some of the leaves to do like a highlight look. But yeah, you can even add more there. And this one I used Twisty Crayon first and then did the Super Tips watercolor technique, and then I added some of the paint sticks. And the crayon, the initial crayon marks resisted everything, so they came through all the paint. I really love this. I love this purple and orange combination. I love that. And ooh, I love this one too. It's so crinkly. Yeah, I noticed like I could have stopped earlier in the phase of this and it would have been really subtle and it would have been like a really nice like composition. But this looks cool if I were to rip it for collage paper. So sometimes, you know, more is more works out, especially if you're gonna rip it for collage paper. And yeah, just the general techniques that I've already showed you of the scraping and then adding the paint sticks. I don't know if I added the paint marker. No, I added the paint markers, not the Crayola Super Tips. This one was really cool using the stencil behind it, and this is on vintage paper. Ooh, I like the back too. This is a nice subtle look. I don't know if it's coming through, but it's a really beautiful orange and purple color combo. And the water made the ink and the graph paper run and mix in, so I love that. I love this subtle page. It would look really pretty with like a simple photograph on this page. This is cool. Paint markers and the scraping technique with the tempera paint. Ooh, these were cool. Oh my gosh, I love these. This looks to me like it was done on a jelly plate, right? Yeah, and you can see it's not necessary. I think I did this one in layers. I did a ochre and a blue, like a turquoise acrylic from Dollar Tree. Did the scraping and then dried it with my heat tool and then added pink and purple over that. So I really like that. And I love that you can see all the different layers. That is so cool. Yeah. Yeah, this paper, okay, this paper is really cool. This vintage, these vintage books, like how the shells work, how electricity works, they're wonder books. But there was like a subtle light blue drawing. I think they did that to kind of save money. They did some pages in color, some in black and white. But this has a subtle blue design and then it goes into black and white drawings here. So it kind of looks like this was like a jelly print. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's like a coral design there. That's cool. You guys saw this one. This is gonna be great for like summer papers. Uh-oh. Yeah. I love these. So definitely you can use these black and white papers. I think this is probably one of my favorites. I did a light coat of the scraping technique with the tempera paint and made some lines in it, like took away the paint with some lines. And then I dried that and then did the Crayola marker dye. And then I rubbed just a little bit of the paint marker, just loosely, and then watered it down so that the edges, the outside is smooth and it doesn't have that rough crayon texture. So yeah, I love that piece. And this was just a simple scraping technique. Just wanted to show you guys what that looks like on its own. There's that one. You can see this is the paint markers. No, this is the paint markers. You can tell because you can see that rough crayon. And then this is the Crayola markers because you can see there's that feathering. Kind of looks like alcohol a little bit. And then there's a more subtle. This is with the Crayola Super Tips. I love that. The tie-dye, the feathered edges. It's so cool. And this is with the paint markers. I got a little bit of it to run, but yeah. But I love the mixture of the crayon texture and the watered down texture. This is just a plain scraping, and it's orange and yellow. And I think that's the tempera paint from Dollar Tree. I like that. And this was really cute, pink and orange. And it's perfect because I think these are oranges, picture of oranges. Oh, this one's adorable. I really love this look, this ethereal white background. And it's just a purple and pink Crayola Super Tips. I love that. It looks like alcohol ink. I adore this. That is beautiful. And these were this is the very first one I did, and this is very, very subtle. But it's really cool. It has that alcohol look. Yeah, I love it. And then this is the last one. Oh, it looks like I forgot to water some of these marks. I can come back and redo that, but isn't that pretty? So that's it for me, guys. This was so fun. I hope that you guys do this. I hope that you explore your cheap art supplies. They're gonna give you some fantastic, beautiful colors. And if I were you, I probably would skip the tempera paint from Dollar Tree and just go straight to the apple barrel. I think you're gonna get really awesome results. The tempera paint is really subtle, but yeah, I would skip the tempera for this project. If you wanted to paint with tissue paper, paint on tissue paper, and you were on a really, really tight budget, you could get those big bottles for $1.25 each. You could do a lot with those. So next time I want to try to do a bottle DIY spray ink project. I really want to test that out. So hey, stay tuned. If you want to see what happens, be sure to subscribe and put on your bell notifications so that I pop up in your feed, and you'll have more of this inexpensive art supply goodness. So you guys explore today, discover, and tell me in the comments what you came up with. And if you're super awesome, you will write in the comments how many times you saw me use really cool artsy lingo. You know, when I had the artist sticker come up. If you're super cool, you can tell me how many times, but if not, I still love you. And you are creative. You just got to do it. Oh, sorry for the airplane. Bye, guys.